So to start off, between Dakar and Abu Dhabi, is this the busiest start to a year you've had since you started racing, or maybe even ever?
Oh, I think you can answer that question yourself, man. It's so busy. It's crazy. I was at work the last days, and I was after Abu Dhabi when I came back. I was sick for like 1.5 weeks, and then I was looking a bit back, and I thought, man, I was like the time I was working, the same time I was not working. So because I was at Dhaka, I was at Abu Dhabi, then I was sick for a bit. So it's crazy busy, even still now at the moment. So it's not like times got easier, but sure. The most busy time of the year, Rally Dakar is over, and also Abu Dhabi, which was a busy race. But for sure, this is a proper start into 2025.
All right, so looking at Abu Dhabi, why did you do it as a Maui motor rider, and how different was it compared to racing with the team?
Well, to go to Abu Dhabi was when people asked me before Dhaka if I will be back at Abu Dhabi, I said no because it was the logical answer. But in the back of my mind, I still was thinking about to go to Abu Dhabi, even though it's still so close to Dhaka. But before Rally Dakar, I was in contact with the organization of Abu Dhabi already with Ryan and Marie. But it was a very close call. Like 2 weeks before start of the race, I decided to go there. And obviously, after Dakar, the biggest struggle was the financial situation. So I had to figure something out after Dakar, but then I made it possible. And due to that reason, also, Malamoto was the only possible solution. And to be honest, when I was at Rally Dakar, I always had a look at the Malamoto riders. And I was kind of admiring them because I was fighting a lot, and there were still people with me, like in my riding field with my pace, or even behind me, who still had to work on their bikes. So I don't know. I a bit wanted to try it out, and I knew at Abu Dhabi, of course, it's a tough race. But after Dakar, I knew I would definitely make every day in daylight. So normal cases, I should have time to work on the bike. And yeah, I thought Dakar days on the bike were very long, so there's no time for relaxing. So I just work on the bike. That was the best solution.
I remember, I think it was on stage one on the road section, you had like a cable under fuel pump break, and then you had to like get it changed. But how early it happened, does that sort of like impact how the rest of your race went?
Oh yeah, that was not a very nice situation. It definitely did have an impact. When I look back at the prologue the day before, I had like I think the best result I ever had already too. I was in P9, like 2 places behind my fellow Austrian Tobias Ebstra. So yeah, I was pretty motivated and I was in the best mood when the sun was out and I was going to the first start, and then the bike stopped working. So in the end, it was maybe not the issue itself which changed my race strategy a bit, but rather the time it took for me to fix the issue because it was a fairly simple issue. It was just a cable on the fuel pump selector switch, but I didn't see it. So in the end, I think I started 1.5 hours behind the last bike. And also considering the time, like the position that I was in, I think it was at least 2 hours it took me to fix it. And yeah, they changed my race a lot because the position was not really reachable anymore that I was trying to achieve. So yeah, I decided to go every day, even like not trying to achieve the best result, which I learned at Dakar is definitely to be the most consistent. So I was just trying a bit around, like which way am I faster and which way am I feeling better. And in the end, I was just trying to give it all my energy and see at which kilometer of one stage I'm really starting to lose energy and focus. And then I saw like about at which point of like endurance and yeah, of fitness I am. And now I had a big another benchmark than just always going consistent. So I'm trying to work on my weaknesses now.
Yeah, so I remember your dad posted a video of you getting your bike fixed during that, and then in the video you said something like, "At Dakar, I never had to work on my bike on track." So how strange of an experience was that?
What do you mean working on the bike myself or at
Yeah,
Dakar?
yeah, I remember yeah, like your dad posted a video on in the WhatsApp group, and then like in it you said like at Dakar, I never had to work on my bike on track. So like how strange of an experience was that?
Uh, well, my dad wasn't there in Abu Dhabi. I was
Oh,
there so there was someone else who filmed it, but my dad sent it into the group because he was sitting at home and following all the time.
Yeah, got
And
it.
yeah, it's crazy. Like 2 weeks at Dakar, and to be fair, I had a very great mechanic at the Deuce team who did a really great job. So it's a credit to him that the bike worked so well at Dakar. But there was not one point at Dakar where I had to get my tools really out, except for the gearbox issue on day two at the chrono. And then I come to Abu Dhabi. Okay, it was an older bike, another bike, so fair enough. But suddenly the race didn't even start, and I had to stop on the road for 2 hours to fix my bike. Well, I'm happy that way. Rather at Abu Dhabi, like not such an important race at Dakar, so I'm fine. But yeah, it's funny.
And so even with that happening, how satisfied are you with how you did at Abu Dhabi this year compared to last year, especially because you had that crash last year and all that?
Yeah, I did. I find, to be honest, when I look back, I'm happy with the race still. I didn't go there to achieve a certain position. Still, I had something in mind that I wanted to see if I can reach top 15 in Rally 2. But for me, the most important thing in Abu Dhabi was the World Championship in the junior category. Because after Dakar, I was sitting in fourth position and I was trying to reach the third position with participating in Abu Dhabi. And since Edgar Canet even crashed out on the first day, in the end, now I'm sitting in second position of junior category. So I was looking at the championship, and for that reason, I'm fine with the result. And yeah, for me, I saw that, especially after Dakar, I again did a lot of progress in terms of my physical abilities, but also the way that I was riding, and also I was not making these kind of big mistakes that I did last year. Even though there were some popular pictures again this year of me crashing on the dune, but it was not like similar to last year. It was just a little tip over. So I don't know. Always photograph is there when something happens, but in the end, I was not making these kind of mistakes like last year, and I was really happy with the progress. Yeah, but still a lot to do.
All right, so going back to Dakar, what was the atmosphere like with so much more people than what you're probably used to?
And do you mean so much more people like in the bivouac in general, or with the team?
Both, I'd say.
It's I still remember like the first day my dad and I went with a Uber to the camp in Bisha, and it's crazy to see like a village built up in the desert, and to imagine that they like move it basically every day is super crazy, and it's just very impressive. I mean, even at Rally Breslau, I already saw very big camps of bivouacs, but it's not comparable to the amount of people you get to meet at Dakar, and also like the catering tent itself, as example, is super big, and it's just very impressive. And also, yeah, to be in such a big team. I was with the Deuce team. Normally, I was just my dad and myself, and there we were three riders: Konrad Dabowski, Jean-Philippe Revolt, and myself, and also team management, Philip Marek and Emil Dabrowski and the mechanics. So it was just like being in a family, which was super nice because there was always something going on. And I was like looking forward to see more people in the camp than just my dad, but mostly my dad. No, but it was just unbelievable. Just when I look back, when I think back, I'm still smiling. It's super impressive, and I was so happy that I was there.
So besides it being twice as long, were there like any differences racing Dakar compared to Abu Dhabi?
Oh, huge differences. I didn't expect, but now looking back, I can compare. It's as you know, I qualified for Rally Dakar with participating in Abu Dhabi 2 times, and I thought, yeah, Abu Dhabi, like empty quarter, big dunes, it must be pretty difficult. So I think I know what to expect, but no, Rally Dakar, like the last 3 days in the empty quarter, and there are some dune areas already in the first week of Dakar, but most of the terrain is rocky and not really comparable to the sand in Abu Dhabi. In Abu Dhabi, you barely see a stone in a week. At Dakar, you get sick of stones. So it's not really, especially okay, 2 weeks, yeah, but also from the way of riding, and I had to adapt a lot because I'm not really used to ride the big rally bike and rocks. So I would recommend definitely everyone to do Rally du Maroc as preparation, because the terrain from Abu Dhabi to Dakar is only like a little bit comparable.
Now, I remember the last two times we talked, you said that the chrono stage was something that you were looking forward to. How hard did that end up being, especially since I think you fell sick overnight as well?
Yeah, I was looking forward to it because I think last time I said it must be nice to sit at the campfire at the end of the day and like share the military rations. It was like this, but unfortunately, I didn't reach the first chrono camp that was supposed to be at kilometer 480. Um, at kilometer 200, I had the gearbox issue, so I was really slowed down. I only had the first and second gear. So in the end, on the first day, I only managed to reach like a fuel stop at kilometer 400. So the whole chrono stage was brutal because of that. At the fuel stop, there were like 10, 15 other riders who decided they are going to stay there, which was good for me because I was in company. I was scared I was dead last, but I wasn't. Um, but until the helicopter came and brought us tents and sleeping bags, I think it was like around 12. So when the sun is away in the desert, it gets pretty cold very fast. So yeah, we were freezing a lot. Everyone had their safety blankets around them. I was just shivering on the floor. So I got sick because of that, I guess. And 550 kilometers on the next day were brutal itself. And then we managed to open the clutch, and my shifting star was broken. So we shifted up, and I could use third to sixth gear. So I managed to do the 550 the next day in mostly third gear. So yeah, it was not the very nice, beautiful scenery looking at the stars, kind of sitting on the campfire, but still looking back, it was a very nice story to tell, and I wouldn't want to miss it, but it was brutal. Definitely. Definitely. Also, I think it definitely another character than last year, because last year Chrono was only 450 kilometers of dunes, and this year it was also very fast tracks sometimes and also dunes, so it was very mixed terrain, which was interesting.
Yeah, so would you say that the chrono kind of helped you prepare for like the marathon stage that came after that, or even the marathon in Abu Dhabi?
Well, after Chrono Stage in general, I thought to myself, what is about to come now that's going to shock me? So I was pretty relaxed going to the marathon stage, but still, marathon stage itself was very long and very brutal. I also finished a special stage in the dark. So well, I didn't even work on the bike at the marathon stage. So at the entry to the Park Fermé, the guy said, I think I have 1 hour or 1.5. And I said, no, I don't need it. Let me put the bike there. I will give you the time card right away. So I wasn't really from the chrono stage. I wasn't really prepared on the like marathon stage, kind of working on the bike itself. Um, but after the chrono, I was prepared for everything. Like what was supposed to come after that? Just riding dunes in the dark. What's supposed to come now?
Yeah, so how different was racing in the dark compared to in the daytime?
Well, to be honest, I was lucky that at Rally Brussels every year there is a night stage. So the biggest problem was when you were racing and you see the kilometers dropping, but you also see the sun going down. That's a very stressful situation. You are trying to be as fast as possible, even the day is about to end. So you are on the road or on the bike already for 8 hours, maybe. Um, but when there was one particular stage right after rest day on stage 7, it was, I guess, where I still had to do 50 kilometers of pure dunes in the dark. And yeah, I was like not scared, but I was definitely having some respect while I was riding. And it's pretty tricky. I think we were very lucky that night that there was a full moon, so there was a bit of a contrast between the sky and dunes. Because I think on tracks you can properly also do a lot of kilometers in the dark. You are definitely slowed down, but in the dunes you definitely need to be careful because if the sky is dark and you don't see the contrast, you're just going up the dune, and like your headlight is also pointing towards the sky, so you don't see where the dune ends. That's definitely a sketchy situation that people warn me about. I was lucky; it was not super sketchy, but definitely it's a bit of challenge. And also, I had so much adrenaline in myself. I was so I don't know when I was like that awake Like my eyes were so big, and I was on the bike. I was super focused, even though it was 7 p.m., 8 p.m. already, and I was on the bike since 6 a.m. Yeah, super great experience, unbelievable. Like the pro guys, they don't have that kind of experience.
So I remember I think it was in stage six you rode together with Damien Bataller because his fuel pump broke, and then he couldn't speak English and you knew a little bit of French, and then you reached the finish I think like 9 p.m. Do you sort of remember everything that happened?
Yeah, that was exactly the day I was just mentioning.
Oh,
Where like I was pretty far behind, and then when it was dark and I already changed to my clear lenses, I saw some bikes at the horizon, and I said, "Okay, come on! If they are moving, if I see them going up and down, I will continue too." And then I was kind of catching up with Damian at that point, and he trying to show me that there was some kind of problem, and I don't know. My French, as you said, isn't good. He doesn't speak any English, and then I stopped, and he was like on French, blah, 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 saying something, and the only thing I said was "on y va." That's what I still know, which is like "let's go," and he said "oui," and then everything was done, and then I lost him, and kind of from what he was trying to tell me before, I knew that he had some kind of mechanical problem. And then I went back and I saw that he was working on his fuel pump. So I did a circle and I was pointing with my headlight for him that he could see what he was doing. Then he transferred with a bottle fuel from the front to the rear, or from the rear to the front. And yeah, we were trying to communicate. It was just funny. Quite a few words of French still came out of my head. Like I still had them in mind, but after the stage, I think we were considered friends. So we were shaking up, like shaking hands, and yeah, it was just super funny. I still remember a lot, but awesome experience. And I was, to be honest, happy to ride together with him because two headlights, they were giving us like a more far range of visibility, and yeah, when we reached the finish together, it was crazy experience.
and I guess similarly on that, like, were there any riders that you sort of like especially became close with during the race?
Definitely a few. Jean-Philippe, my teammate from Dust, we were seeing each other on track quite a few times, even though normally he was faster, but he was doing a bit of more mistakes sometimes. And also, when you spend 2 weeks together in a camper and in the same team, you just get to know each other. I must say, he's a very nice guy. But so many other people you just always meet at the fuel stop at the start, and every day, kind of when you see each other at the start, you are you know that you're just having the same spirit just to keep going because you see everyone else suffer, you yourself are suffering, so it's just a connection like building up. And yeah, Willem Evenant, I would definitely also say because we got to know each other in Abu Dhabi, and Willem is just a very nice guy. But most of the times when I finished like in darkness or even darkness, even only on the liaison coming back to the camp, I knew that Willem was quite still a bit behind me. But every morning when I saw Willem like smiling at the start because he said, "Oh yeah, this is Dakar. That's why we are here for." You just have to like him, and I knew okay, if Willem is on the bike this morning, there's no point in me complaining. If Willem is going, you are going too, and he was just like motivator. No, but so many people I just can't mention everyone. It's a lot of people you just are connected through Dakar now, definitely.
And so on the last day, I remember you also mentioned that the mass start was something you were looking forward to the most. What was getting to do that like?
And to be honest, I was really looking forward even on the day before the mass start because I was feeling good the last days when because I was pretty sick, and in the last week it just got better. So I was gaining more energy and more rhythm compared to others maybe. So my results at the end of the week in general were better than the first week. And also it was 60 kilometers of empty quarter, so just dunes. I knew that's my terrain. Um, but the problem was when I reached the mass start and was only 60 kilometers left until the finish, I saw that my tire was ripped. Like there was a crack in the tire and the mousse was smoking already for some reason. So my mass start was a bit slowed down. I let everyone go first, and I was just trying to limp back to the camp and make the last 60 kilometers. So the mass start was not like I expected, but the feeling of only having 60 kilometers left, super nice.
So despite everything that you faced, you still achieved your main goal of finishing the race. So what was the feeling like when you reached the end?
Well, at first I just couldn't believe that Dakar is over now, because when you are there, you are living it. So you don't have anything else you can think of, or you don't even have time. Most of the days I didn't even have time to check my phone or anything. So when I was there, I was just trying to orientate myself. I was like, "That's it. You're at the finish now. You did everything." Like, I couldn't believe it myself, and there was so many people going around congratulating. And then when I saw my dad and also my mother and two of my best friends who went there, that's the point where I was starting to realize, okay, that's the finish. But to describe the emotions is, I don't think, really possible. You just have to experience it. And still looking back, I get definitely a smile and a bit of, how do you call it, goosebumps. Like, that's the moment like you're working towards for 2 weeks, or even all the time and preparation before, to call yourself a Dakar finisher. But this moment will, how do you say, live in my head rent free or something. Like, I will always keep it in mind.
So I believe with that, then you're now the youngest German rider to finish the Dakar. How did it feel to achieve that?
Yeah, we were talking about that
Yeah.
before, and during the race, it didn't play like a single role in my head. For in that moment, I was just feeling like, I'm a finisher now, and it didn't really matter to me that I was the youngest German. But in the finish, as we were talking about last time, but then I saw Mike, who used to be the former youngest German, and as I expected it, we were like congratulating each other, and it was a crazy moment. But even in that moment, I didn't think about that. I achieved it. Just when I came back, the fact definitely got like present. But during the race, I felt like it was not the goal that maybe I had before. It was just to finish. So it was a nice side effect.
Yeah, so remember last time we talked a little bit about like how popular rally was in Germany? So what was the reaction like when you got home from Dakar?
To be honest, the reaction of so many people I didn't expect was crazy. During Dakar, I tried to share my journey a bit on social media, like on Instagram and Facebook. I did like a bit of a video series, just trying to vlog a bit. But I also had a WhatsApp group in which a lot of family members and friends I expected would join. But in the end, I think we were more than 400 people in that WhatsApp group. So I felt like kind of more people in the WhatsApp group were following than on social media. And when I was scrolling through, there was so many numbers I didn't even know. So in the end, probably people are connected to me or not. I can't really, I don't know now. But there were so many people following, and also a lot of people who are normally not into rally racing or anything, who were following because of the way also I was sharing it. Because I think I was not only showing the nice side of rally racing, but also the struggles and how hard it is. And I try to be honest, also talking about my weaknesses and what I feel like I'm myself not doing really good. So so many positive feedback from people who were following. I didn't even expect that they would care a bit about what I'm doing there. So maybe it's a bit popular more now in Germany, especially with people who were following me.
After Abu Dhabi, what's next for you this year? Like, do you plan on doing Breslau again or the Phoenix Rally even?
Oh, it's difficult. It always comes down to the financial situation, I guess. As I mentioned at the beginning, I was looking for the World Championship result in the junior class. So with Abu Dhabi, I did a good step. But in the end, there are still three more races in the World Championship calendar. There's South Africa coming up in May. Then there's Portugal, I think, in August or September. And then there's Ready to Morocco. So if I could have a wish, it would be to participate at every of those three rallies, and that's definitely also like my main focus now. But I think I already made the decision. not the final decision, but my tendency is to skip South Africa because it's so close from now, and logistics and also financial side in South Africa is pretty difficult. So definitely my plan is to be in Portugal at the race and also at the Rallye du Maroc. Rallye Breslau is definitely something that I'm a lot connected with. I participated there the last 7 years. But I made the decision to not be a competitor this year. But my dad is going to participate again on his old KTM 400. So we were turning things around a bit. So I offered him my help as a service this year. So I'm still with them. I will still be there with the team and with the people I know and with the race I love. But I'm going to work as a mechanic for my dad this time, what he did for me in Abu Dhabi 2 times. So yeah, I will be there, but not as a racer myself. Other than that, I think there's also the Baja Europe, which is from the same organization as the Rallye Breslau, but it's in May and it's only 2 or 3 days and on the weekends. So it's, I think, possible maybe for me to be at the start there. But other than that, focus on the World Championship. But it's a lot of struggle and financial work again, same as before Dakar and last year.
Yeah, so even though you're not going to be racing it, how do you feel about some of the changes for this year's Breslau, like that new shakedown or finishing on the Baltic Sea?
Yeah, I was looking at the program and I think it definitely spiced up a bit. I think it looks very interesting, and to finish at the Baltic Sea, I'm not really sure if the Rally Breslau ever finished there, but it must be a very nice scenario to be there. And yeah, even if I'm not competing myself, I'm really looking forward. I think I know the organization well. I know Alexander Kovachev, the head of Rally Breslau, and I know that he definitely got some tricks here and there and is trying to develop the Rally Breslau into even a better race. So I'm looking forward to see that, and maybe it catches me again, and I will be there next year again probably. But I think the changes are good, and I'm very confident that Rally Breslau is developing even better than it already is.
Now, you said you're also going to do Portugal, I believe. Do you think all your years of racing Breslau and all these other races that are mainly in forests instead of deserts, do you think those are going to help you prepare for Portugal?
I think so. I can imagine that the terrain is not only sandy like in the desert, but also not that rocky like in Morocco maybe. So I can expect it to be a lot of maybe also forest tracks or tracks like sandy tracks like next to fields or something. So maybe it's a bit more comparable to Rally Breslau or other races in Europe. So I think maybe might be a good site. But to be honest, I've never been to Portugal, so I can't really imagine how the terrain is. But that's how I think it might be, and I think that's more of a cross country race, as it also is with Rally Breslau. So maybe I have some advantage, but also I think it comes down to also what bike I'm using and which scenario I'm there. If there's a Malamoto again, I have to adjust my strategy. We'll see, but I think Portugal is an interesting race, and for me, from Germany, it's even manageable to drive there myself, maybe, which is not possible with other races. Even maybe Morocco, but even that's quite further. So I'm looking forward.
So, and then looking to Morocco, do you feel that because you already have experience with Dakar, that sort of gives you, I guess, an upper hand of sort for Morocco?
Excuse me, could you repeat the question? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So since you're also doing Morocco after that, do you feel that since you've already raced Dakar, that sort of like gives you an upper hand of sort for Morocco?
Yeah, maybe. I think normally it's the other way around. People go to Morocco to prepare for the rocky sectors at Dakar. And when I already think of the rocks coming up there, yeah, sometimes I feel like I developed an allergy against rocks on the motorcycle. But no, I think after Dakar and all the long stages we had in the rocks, I can be kind of confident. Still, rocks are always difficult. Like there can always be one rock that hits your front wheel or rear wheel and just kicks you around. But I don't think I need to be afraid or scared of Rallye du Maroc. But I'm sure still it's a tough race. I've never been there, so it's a new race for me if I'm going there. So yeah, it's probably will be a challenge in itself, but I think I can feel confident. And I mean, if you can do Rally Dakar and a lot of rocks there are there, yeah, Rally du Maroc is not an easy race, but it's definitely manageable, I guess.
So, and do you hope to race Dakar again in the future? Like maybe not next year or anytime in the future?
I'm sure that I will be at the start line again at some point. I think I don't know what people did. Someone call it a disease or like you get addicted to it. Definitely yes, especially also to the roller coaster of emotions you go there. I think there's nothing comparable where you are suffering that much but still love it so much afterwards. Um, I will be there again, but I don't know when and in which scenario. I would. My favorite scenario would be to go with Duke's team again because I felt like I was in a family there. I don't think I would choose any other team because I just uh, liked them so much and I was like feeling so good with them. But I also could imagine that financial wise, but also as a challenge, I maybe could imagine to be in Malamoto at some point. But to be honest to myself, I need to improve a lot to be able to do Malamoto because there were days most of the days I finished at darkness in the camp. So after the long liaison, so if you get into the camp at 8 or 9 p.m., to be honest, I don't want to work on my bike anymore. But if I would like maybe improve in terms of speed to be 2 hours faster every day, then it sounds at least a bit more manageable. Um, I don't know, but I'm sure I will be back at some point. Yeah, I don't know how and when, and I will be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so and with how much you kind of had to spend to afford making it to Dakar this year, how are things looking for you financially right now?
I don't want to. I didn't want to make an overall calculation. Like now, I have everything sitting in my bank account. I could check the results and make an like a sheet and really have a result. I didn't want to do that, but with buying the bike, rebuilding the bike, having the service fee, start money, or the travel cost, also bringing my dad in itself cost 4,000 euros. His travel fees and everything, I think 80 to 90,000 euros. And only the credit I took was 50,000 euros. So there's still a gap. And yeah, well, we discussed it the last time. There are 11 years I'm paying off that credit now. So next time I'll do it, it definitely must be another scenario. However, it's possible, but yeah, that's about the numbers. I didn't want to know it exactly myself. I didn't calculate. Maybe at some point I will because I have all the data, but I didn't want to know now. So
I remember the last time you said that you also might think about doing Dakar as a navigator, like your regular race or the classic. Could that also be a possibility?
I'm super interested in trying Rally Dakar as a navigator. And last time there was the idea of doing the Dakar Classic as navigator together with Ali, which like the driver I used to go to Phoenix Rally with. But we were not talking specifically about that, so I don't know if that's still an option. I would be interested to be in side by side or also a car, maybe looking back at the next years, being in a competitive car, maybe also trying to develop in that area. Um, but I think I also need more experience in a car before going to Dakar. I mean, I know how to navigate. I know how to navigate at Dakar. But when you were looking at the co-drivers this year, like basic, like Sam Sunderland as example, also some like one other German navigator, Stefan Preuss, you saw that the impacts you get in a car are definitely nothing you can take like which is not easy. So you also have to know what you are up to in a car or on a side by side. So maybe to get some more experience in a fast car, maybe also at another World Championship race would be good. But I'm definitely interested in that. So if there's an opportunity coming up and someone would say, okay, let's do Rally Dakar next year in the car, you are being my navigator, I think I would say yes right away. But also by heart, I'm a motorcycle racer, but also in, like an off-road enthusiast. So there are also other things that I'm interested in, especially also in being navigator. And if it's a question of being at Rally Dakar or being not at Rally Dakar, I would also do it in a car because the feeling and the atmosphere there is just, you get addicted. It's crazy. You have to be there to know what I'm talking about.
So before we wrap this up, is there anything else you'd like to add?
If anyone wants to go to Rally Dakar or thinks about it, I can only recommend. It's an unbelievable experience, and it's only, what is it now, like 3 months after the finish. I still think about it every day, and it's something that keeps you going, motivates you a lot, and I think that also is life changing. But still, you need to be prepared a lot, and have to think of a lot of things. And I think for me it was like pretty much, I don't know how to say it. It was pretty close of finishing and not finishing because of several factors and aspects. So there would have been a safer way to do it maybe in a few years. And I wanted to push it to do it 2025. I even wanted to do it 2024. So I'm just now happy with everything and how it went. But it's tough. It's really tough, and you can't expect and imagine how it is until you're there. But it's worth it, definitely.